Hello readers, welcome back. We are going to continue to talk about making connections. Remember, making connections means as readers, we make personal connections to the text by using our schema. Last week we practiced making text-to-self connections. This week we are practicing making text-to-text, and next week we'll move on to talking about text-to-world. So what is the schema? Remember, to use schema is to use your experiences and what you already know to make sense of the stories in the text that you are reading. All of us readers bring a different schema to the books we read because schema is our very own background knowledge. It's shaped by our own experiences, the people we know, and the books we've read. So we're going to take our schema into making a text-to-text connection. A text-to-text connection is making a connection between a text and another text that you have read. So your success criteria, your target this week, is being able to use your schema to make a text-to-text connection while you read. So you're going to use what you already know, things from which you've already read. Then you're going to compare and contrast the text and how they are similar and how they are different than one another. So what are we comparing and contrasting? In yesterday's lesson, we used the story elements. So your characters, setting, the messages, the events, the problems, and the solutions. We find things that are alike in our story elements, and we find things that are different in our story elements across our stories. We talked about a couple different prompts. There are quite a few of them, but I highlighted a couple that are excellent ones to use while you're reading. So one is you put the character's name. So like Molly Lou reminds me of Wilbur from the book because, and then you give an example. Or these two stories, Molly Lou and Wilbur, are alike because, and I used that one yesterday. The character in this story is like the character in. But you can also focus on parts and events or ideas, just particular things maybe that the author writes and uses. You're looking to see how they compare in each text. So we just listened to box of text. Okay, earlier this year, one of our book of the days was The Most Magnificent Thing. And so we're going to compare and contrast these two books. And I see a lot in common just with the titles, but I notice that there are some events that make me think of each book, their problem that they're faced with, how they solve it, the actual characters themselves, meaning their feelings and the experiences they go through, and the life lessons that the authors give us in The Most Magnificent Thing. So the prompt that I chose to use is that these two texts, The Most Magnificent Thing and Box of Texts, remind me of each other because. And let's read about it. These two texts remind me of each other because the characters like building and creating things, and I see evidence of that. And in Box of Text today, we saw the two girls working and building things together. Throughout The Most Magnificent Thing, we watch her building the entire time. So whatever we're writing in our text-to-text connection, you want to support with real evidence from the story. So I'll start that again. These two texts remind me of each other because the characters like building and creating things. Both stories also have similar problems. All the girls face the challenge in getting their inventions or their creations to work right, or in the way they want them to. The girls get mad and frustrated, but the girl in Most Magnificent Thing and the girls in the Box of Texts, they never quit. And they eventually figure it out and solve their own problems by making mistakes and continuing to try. The girls in both texts learn big life lessons and learn the importance of a growth mindset. So all of the evidence, readers, in these and in my text-to-text connection, my goal is to identify what is similar about the two stories. And then also, how are they different? And that's how I notice and pay attention to what's happening from text to text as I read. It is now your turn. You are going to stop and think. You're going to use your thinking cap to make a text-to-text connection. And you're going to do this today in your book days. So use the two stories to make a text-to-text connection. And boys and girls readers, make sure that you write in 2 to 3 complete sentences. Be sure to tell the connection. What is the connection? And then remember to support it with text information. We call that text evidence. So make sure you're giving us an example that proves that text-to-text connection. Happy reading.